Ever experienced that jaw-dropping realization when something incredibly straightforward, almost laughably obvious, suddenly clicks into place? That precise instant when your palm meets your forehead and you wonder aloud, how did I survive without knowing this? Throughout my gardening adventures, I've encountered these revelatory moments countless times. Consider the years I wrestled with twisted, knotted hoses until stumbling upon a zero-cost remedy, or the revelation that eliminated my need to purchase seedling containers ever again. Then there was that memorable evening when a fellow gardener demonstrated transforming kitchen leftovers into the most potent fertilizer my plants had ever experienced. Right now, I'm unveiling 10 of these transformative wish I'd discovered this earlier revelations. These techniques have genuinely revolutionized my approach to gardening, and I'm convinced they should be shared with every beginner from the very start. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Greenhaven Hacks. I'm absolutely thrilled you've chosen to spend time with me today. For those discovering us for the first time, welcome aboard. You've just joined a community dedicated to making gardening more accessible, more intelligent, and significantly more rewarding. Our focus centers on actionable strategies that deliver results in actual gardens, not merely theoretical concepts. And to our loyal Greenhaven Hacks family members returning once more, my deepest appreciation for your continued support week after week. Your presence gives purpose to this channel, and the community we've cultivated together fills me with immense gratitude. Today's content holds special significance because these aren't merely random suggestions I discovered while browsing online. These represent 10 strategies I actively implement regularly, techniques that have conserved my time, protected my budget, and spared me considerable aggravation. These are the methods I share with newcomers when they embark on their gardening journey. These are the insider secrets I desperately wish someone had revealed when I planted my inaugural tomato plant. If subscription hasn't happened yet, please take that step now and activate notifications. Believe me, the upcoming content is too valuable to miss. Now, let's explore these 10 revolutionary gardening strategies. Strategy number 1, the coffee filter container solution. Let's begin with something that appears insignificant, yet creates substantial impact. Have you noticed how soil consistently escapes through drainage openings when potting plants? You water your container and immediately encounter muddy runoff everywhere. Or even worse, you lose substantial soil volume, causing your plant to gradually sink lower into the pot. For numerous seasons, I relied on pottery fragments or pebbles to cover drainage openings, but these create problems. They add unnecessary weight. They occupy valuable space that root systems could utilize, and soil still manages to wash through gaps. Then during a morning coffee preparation, inspiration struck. What about using a coffee filter? I retrieved one, positioned it flat across the drainage openings in my container, added growing medium, and planted. The results were flawless. Coffee filters permit water to drain without restriction. That's precisely their engineered purpose. However, they prevent soil particles from washing away. They contribute negligible weight to containers. They naturally decompose over time, causing no harm to plant systems. And most remarkably, they're extraordinarily economical. A package containing 100 coffee filters costs merely a few dollars. Currently, I incorporate coffee filters into absolutely every container I plant. Smaller pots receive one filter. Larger containers might require 2 or 3 positioned with slight overlap. The process requires mere seconds, costs virtually nothing, and comprehensively eliminates the soil washing problem. Here's an additional suggestion. Lacking coffee filters? Paper towels function identically. Simply fold one and position it over the drainage openings. Identical principle, identical outcomes. This represents one of those strategies that seems almost embarrassingly simple in hindsight. Yet once you adopt this practice, reverting becomes unthinkable. Your containerized plants will flourish. Your outdoor living spaces will remain cleaner, and you'll preserve all that precious growing medium exactly where it belongs, surrounding your plant's root zone. Strategy number 2, eggshell seed starting containers. This technique delivers brilliance through multiple dimensions and costs absolutely nothing if eggs are part of your diet. Rather than purchasing seed starting containers or peat pellets, Repurpose eggshells. Here's the methodology. When cracking eggs, attempt breaking them near the narrow end, creating an opening while preserving most of the shell structure intact. Rinse them thoroughly, allow complete drying, and store them in their original carton. When seed starting time arrives, create a tiny drainage opening in each shell's base using a pin or needle point. Fill with seed starting mixture and sow your seeds. The egg carton transforms into your seed tray. The eggshells become your individual containers. When seedlings reach transplanting readiness, you can plant the complete shell directly into garden soil. Simply crack the shell gently to facilitate root penetration and bury it. The shell gradually decomposes, simultaneously adding calcium nutrients to your growing environment. What captivates me about this strategy is the multiple problems it resolves simultaneously. Initially, it's entirely cost-free. You're repurposing material otherwise destined for disposal. Additionally, it eliminates transplant shock because root disturbance becomes unnecessary during planting. Furthermore, eggshells contribute beneficial nutrients as they break down. And finally, it provides deeply satisfying waste reduction. I implement this technique primarily for species that resist root disturbance, varieties like nasturtiums, beans, squash, and cucumbers. But truthfully, it succeeds with nearly any seed type. One consideration: eggshells provide limited space, making them optimal for seeds requiring relatively quick transplanting. For something needing months of indoor growth, larger containers prove more appropriate. But for rapid developing seeds or direct sowing alternatives, eggshells are ideal. I particularly appreciate this strategy for introducing children to gardening concepts. Young minds find the concept of planting seeds inside eggshells absolutely fascinating. It transforms the entire experience into something more captivating and wondrous. And here's an accidental discovery. You can label shells using marker ink to identify what's planted. No more confusion distinguishing between seedlings. Strategy number 3, the cinnamon fungal defense. This strategy resembles traditional folk wisdom, yet delivers genuinely effective results. Cinnamon functions as a natural fungicide, capable of rescuing your seedlings from damping off disease. Damping off represents the primary seedling killer. You plant seeds, they germinate beautifully, then suddenly collapse and perish at the soil line. Fungal pathogens in the soil cause this devastating condition, and witnessing it proves absolutely heartbreaking. For numerous seasons, I battled damping off, particularly when starting seeds indoors where humidity remains elevated and air circulation stays restricted. I experimented with various commercial fungicides, but felt uncomfortable applying chemicals to vulnerable seedlings. Then I discovered cinnamon's potential. Currently, immediately after seed germination, when those initial tiny leaves emerge, I lightly dust the soil's surface with ground cinnamon, the identical variety purchased for baking purposes. Just a gentle sprinkle suffices. The cinnamon creates conditions inhospitable for fungal pathogens while remaining completely plant-safe. It also produces a wonderful aroma, which provides a pleasant bonus when working with indoor seedlings. I've employed this technique for 3 growing seasons, and my damping off challenges have virtually vanished. My seedling survival rate improved from approximately 70% to nearly 100%. You can also apply cinnamon to cutting sites when pruning plants. Dusting wounds with cinnamon helps prevent fungal infections from establishing. I use this on succulent cuttings, houseplant pruning cuts, and even outdoor plants following substantial pruning sessions. Purchase the most economical cinnamon available. Premium Ceylon cinnamon isn't necessary. Basic varieties work perfectly. A single container provides years of seedling protection. This represents one of those strategies appearing too simple for effectiveness, yet it absolutely delivers results. Attempt it during your next seed starting session and prepare for amazement at how healthy your seedlings remain. Strategy number 4, the toilet paper roll seedling containers. Here's another zero-cost seedling strategy that surpasses eggshells for certain applications. Save your toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. They create excellent biodegradable seedling containers. For toilet paper rolls, simply fold the bottom inward on 4 sides, creating a base, similar to closing a cardboard box. Fill with seed starting mixture and plant your seeds. For paper towel rolls, cut them in half first, then apply the same folding technique. What makes this strategy so brilliant is the dimensions. Toilet paper rolls provide greater depth than eggshells, making them perfect for seedlings requiring additional root space before transplanting. They're ideal for tomatoes, peppers, and other varieties you'll cultivate indoors for several weeks. When transplanting time arrives, you can plant the entire roll directly into garden soil. The cardboard naturally breaks down over time. Alternatively, if preferred, you can carefully peel away the cardboard at planting time. It's usually quite manageable to remove. I create dozens of these every spring season. They cost absolutely nothing. They function beautifully, and I feel positive about reusing materials otherwise headed for recycling. Here's my organizational system. I maintain a collection box in bathroom and kitchen areas, and instead of recycling toilet paper and paper towel rolls, I deposit them in this box. By spring's arrival, I've accumulated plenty for seed starting purposes. You can even add creative personalization and decoration. If involving children, let them color or paint the rolls before filling them. It makes seed starting more engaging and helps identify what's planted where. Some gardeners cut slits in the roll bottoms instead of folding them, then position them in trays to contain moisture. Both methods work effectively. Experiment and determine your preference. This strategy has completely eliminated my need for purchasing seed-starting containers. Between eggshells for quick-maturing crops and toilet paper rolls for long-duration seedlings, I possess all the containers I need, all free and biodegradable. Strategy number 5. Banana peel plant nutrition. This strategy transforms kitchen waste into powerful plant nutrition, and it's especially beneficial for roses, tomatoes, and any flowering species. Banana peels contain rich potassium content, which promotes flowering and fruit development. Instead of discarding them, use them to nourish your plants. Here's the simplest approach. Just bury chopped banana peels directly in soil surrounding your plants. Dig a small hole several inches from the plant stem, drop in some chopped peel, and cover with soil. As the peels decompose, they release nutrients gradually. However, my preferred method involves making banana peel tea. I save banana peels in a freezer container until accumulating approximately 5 or 6. Then I place them in a large jar or pitcher, cover with water, and allow it to steep for several days. The water extracts nutrients from the peels, creating liquid fertilizer. I use this banana tea for watering my tomatoes, peppers, roses, and flowering annuals. They respond enthusiastically. My roses have never bloomed more prolifically than since I began using banana peel tea. You can also dry banana peels and grind them into powder using a blender or food processor. This banana peel powder can be mixed into potting medium or sprinkled around plants and watered in. What I appreciate about this strategy is that it's free, it's organic, and it reduces waste. Those banana peels previously headed for trash are now nourishing my garden. One caution: don't overdo applications. Banana peels are excellent, but plants require balanced nutrition. Use banana peels as a supplement to your regular fertilizing routine, not as a complete replacement. Also, if you bury whole peels or large pieces directly in garden areas, they can attract pests like raccoons or possums. Chopping them small or making tea eliminates this concern. This represents one of those strategies that sounds somewhat unconventional, but it genuinely delivers results. Your flowering plants will reward you with larger, more abundant blooms. Strategy number 6. The plastic bottle drip irrigation system. This strategy is perfect for vacation watering, for plants requiring consistent moisture, or for water conservation, and it costs absolutely nothing. Take a plastic bottle, any size from a small water bottle to a large soda bottle. Create several small holes in the bottom and lower sides using a pin, needle, or small nail. The hole should be small enough that water drips slowly rather than gushing out. Bury the bottle adjacent to your plant, leaving just the opening above soil level. Fill it with water, and it will slowly drip moisture directly to the plant's root zone over several days. I use this technique for tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and squash, anything that consumes substantial water during hot weather. I bury a bottle at planting time, and throughout summer, I simply refill it every few days. The beauty of this system is that water goes directly to roots with minimal evaporation. Surface watering loses substantial water to evaporation, especially in hot weather. This underground drip system is significantly more efficient. It's also perfect for vacation periods. Fill the bottles before departing, and your plants will stay hydrated for several days. For larger plants, use larger bottles. For container plants, smaller bottles work better. You can even cut the bottom of a bottle completely and invert it in the soil, creating a funnel that directs water deep into the root zone. I've also used this technique for newly planted trees and shrubs. A 2-liter bottle buried next to a new planting ensures deep watering that encourages roots to grow downward. Some gardeners get elaborate and connect multiple bottles with tubing to create networks, but honestly, the simple version works excellently for most situations. This strategy has saved my tomatoes during heat waves, kept plants alive during vacations, and reduced my water consumption by making irrigation more efficient. Strategy number 7. The newspaper weed barrier. This is unquestionably the most effective weed suppression strategy I've ever employed, and it's free if you receive a newspaper or can collect discarded ones. Instead of purchasing expensive landscape fabric or weed barrier products, use newspaper. Lay down newspaper sheets in your garden pathways or around plants, overlapping the edges. Cover with mulch, and you have a weed barrier that's free, biodegradable, and actually improves your soil as it breaks down. I typically use approximately 5 to 10 sheets thick, enough to block light effectively, but not so thick that water can't penetrate. Wet the newspaper as you lay it down, which makes it easier to work with and helps it stay positioned. The newspaper blocks sunlight, preventing weed seeds from germinating. But unlike plastic landscape fabric, newspaper is permeable to water and air, and it breaks down over time, adding organic matter to your soil. I use this extensively in my vegetable garden pathways. I lay down newspaper, cover it with wood chip mulch, and I have essentially weed-free paths throughout the season. The newspaper lasts most of the growing season, and by next spring, it's decomposed and ready to be refreshed. You can also use newspaper as a sheet mulch layer when building new garden beds. Lay down cardboard or thick newspaper directly on grass or weeds, cover with compost and mulch, and plant right through it. The newspaper smothers existing vegetation while breaking down to enrich the soil. One important note: use only newspaper with black ink, not colored ink. Modern newspaper ink is typically soy-based and safe, but avoid glossy magazine pages or colored advertising inserts that may contain undesirable chemicals. This strategy has dramatically reduced my weeding time. Instead of spending hours pulling weeds from pathways, I spend maybe 15 minutes once a season refreshing the newspaper layer. It's also an excellent use for all those newspapers that might otherwise go to recycling. You're keeping material out of the waste stream while improving your garden. Strategy number 8. The fork method for root-bound plants. This strategy has rescued so many plants that were struggling in their containers. When you purchase a plant or when your potted plants become root-bound, the roots often form a tight circular mat that continues growing in circles even after transplanting. For years, I just planted them as is, maybe roughing up the root ball slightly with my fingers, and then I'd wonder why the plants didn't thrive. Then I learned the fork method. Take a regular garden fork or even a kitchen fork and score the root ball vertically in several places. You're not trying to destroy the roots. You're just making vertical cuts through that circular pattern to encourage roots to grow outward instead of continuing in circles. It looks brutal. The first time I did it, I was certain I was killing my plants. But the opposite happened. They exploded with growth. Here's what I do now. When I remove a plant from its pot, I examine the roots. If they're circling around and around, I use my fork to make 4 or 5 vertical scores from top to bottom of the root ball. Then I gently tease some roots outward at the bottom. Then I plant. The small damage you do by scoring encourages roots to branch and grow in new directions. Within weeks, those plants have established themselves far better than unscored plants. This is especially important for trees and shrubs that have been in pots for extended periods. If you don't break up that circular root pattern, they may never properly establish, even years after planting. I've also used this technique on root-bound houseplants that I'm repotting. It encourages them to grow into their new larger pots instead of staying confined to their old root ball shape. The key is being brave enough to do it. Yes, you're damaging some roots, but you're doing far less damage than leaving the plant root-bound would cause long-term. This strategy has improved my transplant success rate dramatically. Strategy number 9, Epsom salt for magnesium enhancement. This is one of those traditional remedies that actually has solid scientific backing. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and many plants, especially tomatoes, peppers, and roses, benefit from supplemental magnesium. Magnesium is essential for chlorophyll production, which means it's crucial for photosynthesis. Plants deficient in magnesium show yellowing between leaf veins, poor growth, and reduced flowering. I use Epsom salt in 2 ways. First, when planting tomatoes and peppers, I add about a tablespoon of Epsom salt to the planting hole and mix it with the soil. This gives them a magnesium boost right from the start. Second, during the growing season, I make an Epsom salt spray. I dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt in a gallon of water and spray it on the foliage of tomatoes, peppers, and roses every few weeks. The difference is noticeable. My tomatoes are greener and more vigorous. My peppers produce more prolifically. My roses bloom more abundantly. Epsom salt is incredibly economical. You can buy a large bag at any drugstore for just a few dollars, and it'll last for seasons. One important note: this is a supplement, not a cure-all. If your soil is severely deficient in multiple nutrients, Epsom salt alone won't solve all your problems. But for that magnesium boost that many plants crave, it's excellent. Also, don't overdo it. More is not better. Excessive magnesium can actually interfere with calcium uptake. Stick to recommended amounts: a tablespoon per plant at planting and the foliage spray every few weeks during active growth. This strategy has become part of my regular routine, especially for my tomatoes. I genuinely believe it's part of why I consistently get such heavy yields. Strategy number 10, the companion planting power trio. This final strategy is about smart planting combinations that benefit each other. The classic example is the 3 sisters, corn, beans, and squash planted together. But my favorite modern trio is tomatoes, basil, and marigolds. Here's why this combination is magical. Tomatoes are heavy feeders that benefit from companionship. Basil planted near tomatoes is said to improve their flavor and repel certain pests like aphids and hornworms. Whether this is scientifically proven or gardener folklore, I can tell you my tomatoes do better with basil nearby. Marigolds are the real pest deterrent powerhouse. They repel aphids, whiteflies, and other pests. Some marigold varieties also suppress harmful nematodes in the soil through their root secretions. I plant this trio throughout my vegetable garden. A tomato plant, basil plant nearby, and marigolds scattered around them. The visual effect is beautiful: green tomato foliage, lush basil, and cheerful marigold blooms. But more importantly, my tomatoes are healthier and have fewer pest problems. I've also experimented with other combinations: carrots and onions planted together. Onions repel carrot flies. Cabbage family plants with herbs like rosemary, sage, and thyme. The strong scents confuse cabbage moths. Beans with summer savory. Savory repels bean beetles. What I appreciate about companion planting is that it works with nature instead of against it. Instead of reaching for pesticides when problems arise, I'm creating a diverse, balanced garden ecosystem where plants help each other. This isn't magic, and it won't solve every pest problem, but it genuinely makes a difference. My gardens have healthier plants and fewer pest issues since I started paying attention to companion planting. Start simple. Try the tomato, basil, marigold combination this year. Once you see the benefits, you'll start researching more combinations and designing your whole garden around these partnerships. What these strategies share in common. You know what all these strategies have in common? They're all simple. None of them require expensive equipment or complicated techniques. Most of them are completely free or cost just pennies. And yet, they make such a profound difference in gardening success. I think that's one of the most important lessons I've learned over years of gardening. Success isn't about spending more money or having the fanciest tools. It's about knowing these little tricks, these clever solutions, these time-tested techniques that experienced gardeners use. When I started gardening, I thought I needed to buy everything: special pots, expensive fertilizers, professional tools. And while good tools do make work easier, so much of successful gardening is about knowledge, not equipment. Every single one of these strategies came either from personal experimentation or learning from other gardeners. That's the beautiful thing about the gardening community. We share knowledge freely. We want each other to succeed. I genuinely wish someone had sat me down on my first day of gardening and taught me these 10 things. Think about how much time I would have saved not dealing with damping off. How many plants would have survived if I'd known about the root-bound scoring technique? How much money I would have saved by using toilet paper rolls instead of buying seed pots. But perhaps the journey is part of the joy. Maybe discovering these strategies over time, having those aha moments, is part of what makes gardening so satisfying. Still, I'm excited to share them with you now. Maybe I can shorten your learning curve a bit. Maybe you'll start using coffee filters in your pots today and wonder how you ever garden without them. And here's the thing, these 10 are just the beginning. There are hundreds of clever gardening strategies out there. Some will work perfectly for your situation. Others might not be relevant to your garden or climate. That's okay. Take what works, adapt what doesn't quite fit, and keep learning. Gardening is a lifelong journey of discovery. Every season I learn something new. Every year I try a new technique, and slowly my garden gets better, my plants get healthier, and the whole process gets easier and more enjoyable. Quick recap of these 10 game-changing strategies. Use coffee filters to prevent soil from washing out of pot drainage holes. Start seeds and eggshells for free biodegradable pots that add calcium to soil. Dust seedlings with cinnamon to prevent damping off disease. Make seedling pots from toilet paper rolls, free and biodegradable. Feed flowering plants with banana peel fertilizer for bigger blooms. Create drip irrigation systems from plastic bottles for efficient watering. Use newspaper as a free, effective, and biodegradable weed barrier. Score root-bound plants with a fork to encourage outward root growth. Give tomatoes and peppers a magnesium boost with Epsom salt. Plant tomatoes with basil and marigolds for pest protection and better growth. These aren't complicated techniques that require years of experience. They're simple tricks that anyone can implement immediately. Try even 1 or 2 this week, and I guarantee you'll see benefits. And here's my challenge to you. Once you've tried these, share them with another gardener. That's how gardening knowledge spreads. That's how we all get better together. Join our Green Haven Hacks community. If you found these strategies helpful, if even one of them made you think, I need to try that, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps other gardeners discover these tips too. And if you're not yet subscribed to Green Haven Hacks, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We post practical gardening content every single week. Tips, tricks, how-to-os, problem solving, all designed to make your gardening journey more successful and enjoyable. Leave a comment telling me which strategy surprised you most or which one you're going to try first. I read every comment and I love hearing from you. Your questions often inspire future videos, and your success stories make my day. Also, if you have a gardening strategy that I didn't mention, something you use all the time that makes your life easier, please share it in the comments. This community thrives on shared knowledge. We all benefit when we learn from each other. And don't forget, everyone who comments is automatically entered in our monthly gardening giveaway. It's just our way of saying thank you for being part of this community. Final thoughts. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Gardening doesn't have to be complicated or expensive to be successful. Some of the best solutions are the simplest ones. Some of the most effective techniques are the ones that have been used for generations. Don't be intimidated by gardening. Don't think you need a degree in horticulture or a huge budget. You just need curiosity, willingness to learn, and a spirit of experimentation. Try these strategies. See what works in your garden. Adapt them to your situation. And then keep learning. Keep trying new things. Keep discovering those "why didn't I know this sooner" moments. That's what makes gardening such a joy. There's always something new to learn, always a better way to do things, always another discovery waiting just around the corner. Your garden is going to benefit so much from these 10 simple strategies. I can't wait to hear about your results. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being part of the Green Haven Hacks family. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, the best gardens are built on simple wisdom, not complicated techniques. Happy gardening, everyone.